In 1901, divers pulling cargo from a Roman shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera brought up a corroded bronze lump the size of a shoebox. And inside it were 37 interlocking gears capable of calculating the position of the sun, the moon, and 5 planets simultaneously. The next device of comparable mechanical complexity wouldn't appear for 1,400 years. This is not the only object like it. There are 10 artifacts scattered across the ancient world that should not exist, and what's waiting at number 1 has no scientific explanation anyone has agreed on. Number 10. Standing in the Qutb complex in Delhi is an iron pillar cast around 400 CE, roughly 7 meters tall, weighing more than 6,000 kilograms and composed of 98% pure iron. It has stood through 16 centuries of monsoon seasons. It is almost completely free of rust. Metallurgists, including those at the Indian Institute of Metals, have studied it for decades and identified a thin layer of misoite, a compound of iron, oxygen, and hydrogen that appears to have formed through an ancient phosphoric treatment of the metal. The problem is that replicating that treatment at industrial scale requires processes that did not exist in 400 CE. Modern foundries can approximate it. They cannot match it. No one has fully explained how a civilization without blast furnaces produced an alloy that still outperforms modern weathering steel. Number 9. In 1934, a strange artifact known as the London Hammer was discovered near London, Texas, after Max Hahn and his wife found a rock containing what appeared to be an ordinary metal hammer trapped inside. The discovery became controversial because some claimed the rock surrounding the hammer was hundreds of millions of years old, dating back to a time long before dinosaurs ruled the planet. Adding to the mystery, some reports about the artifact claimed that the hammerhead was composed of around 96% iron, an unusually high level of purity that many argue would have been difficult to achieve with ancient technology. To supporters of the out-of-place artifact theory, the hammer raises questions about whether advanced knowledge existed far earlier than accepted history suggests. Whether a genuine anomaly or a misunderstood geological formation, the London Hammer remains one of the most debated discoveries in mystery and alternative history circles. Number 8. In 1513, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis compiled a map using what he described as source charts, some, he claimed, dating to the time of Alexander the Great. That map accurately depicts the coastline of Antarctica. The continent was not officially discovered until 1820. More specifically, it shows Antarctica's ice-free coastline, a geography that has not been visible for an estimated 6,000 years. Professor Charles Hapgood at Keene State College analyzed the map's cartographic projections in detail and confirmed the accuracy of the Antarctic coastline was not coincidental distortion. How Piri Reis had access to a source chart of a coastline buried under ice for 6 millennia is a question cartographic historians have not closed. Number 7. In the Peruvian desert, etched into the ground, are more than 300 geometric figures and animal shapes, some stretching over 1,200 feet, that resolve into correct proportions only when viewed from altitude. An international team led by Japan's Yamagata University, in collaboration with Peruvian researchers, recently announced the discovery of 248 new geoglyphs using drone survey data and artificial intelligence. The count keeps growing. The purpose has not moved an inch closer to resolution. We are still finding them, and we still do not know why they were made. Number 6. Discovered in 1996, the Baigong pipes include formations rising from the floor and embedded in the walls of a cave on Mount Baigong, as well as pipes protruding from the surface of the hill and along the shores of Tosan Lake. The pipes consist primarily of 30% ferric oxide combined with substantial amounts of silicon dioxide and calcium oxide, and approximately 8% of their structural composition remains chemically unidentified. Thermoluminescence testing indicated that the pipes predate human habitation in the area. 5 entries, 5 different civilizations, 5 different technologies, metallurgy, electricity, cartography, geometry, and pipe engineering, and none of them should exist at the time and place they were found. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. And the second half of this list is, stranger still, number 1 has no scientific explanation anyone has agreed on. Of those first 5, the rust-free iron pillar, the Piri Reis map, the Nazca lines, which one do you find hardest to explain away? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the next 5 entries don't just deepen the mystery, they start to suggest something far more unsettling about who built the ancient world. Number 5. Sitting in the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University is a 240-page illustrated codex written on calfskin vellum. The Voynich manuscript is an illustrated codex handwritten in a unique writing system, whose pages have been carbon dated to between 1404 and 1438 CE. That places its creation squarely in the early Renaissance, a period we know extremely well. Despite attempted decipherments by some of the 20th century's best cryptographers, including William and Elizabeth Friedman, the manuscript remains unassailable. World War II codebreakers who cracked Nazi encryption could not touch it. The writing uses an unknown script that does not match any known language or writing system, and despite countless efforts from professional linguists, cryptographers, and historians, its meaning has remained completely hidden. AI analysis through 2025 has produced competing claims, each one contradicting the last, none reproducible. Certain botanical illustrations have been highlighted as anachronistic by some researchers, suggesting the plants depicted do not correspond to any known European species, a book that exists, that is physically datable, that no one, across 6 centuries and every available tool, has read. Number 4. Inside the Hathor Temple at Dendera, Egypt, carved into stone walls deep within the complex, are a series of reliefs that a subset of researchers, including electrical engineers beginning with Walter Garn in the 1990s, argued depict a functional Crookes tube, a glass bulb, an internal filament, and an insulating base that together describe a precursor to the incandescent light bulb. Mainstream Egyptologists read the same carvings as mythological lotus imagery. Both groups are looking at the same stone. The dispute has not been resolved, and no third interpretation has satisfied either side. Number 3. Above Cusco, Peru, stands a fortress whose walls contain limestone blocks weighing up to 200 tons, fitted together without mortar at joints so tight that craftsmen achieved fits so exact that a coin couldn't slip through. These stone blocks were quarried from Rumicolca, about 22 miles away. No wheeled vehicles, no iron tools. No engineering consensus that fully accounts for either the transport or the fitting precision at that scale. Sacsayhuaman has survived earthquakes that leveled Spanish colonial buildings constructed centuries later with mortar and iron. The Spanish used the smaller stones as a convenient quarry. The largest blocks they simply left, because they could not move them either. Number 2. Which brings you back to where this list began, that corroded bronze shoebox pulled from the Antikythera wreck in 1901. The Antikythera Mechanism Research Project confirmed through X-ray tomography that the device contains 37 gears capable of predicting solar eclipses 223 months in advance. The device predates the next comparable mechanical computer by 1,400 years. Historians can partially account for it: Greek astronomical genius, the school of Archimedes, a tradition of precision bronzework. That partial explanation is the most comfort this list offers, because number 1 has no explanation at all. Number 1. Near the city of Ica, Peru, thousands of andesite stones have been documented bearing engravings of humans coexisting with dinosaurs, performing surgery with advanced instruments, and observing the night sky through what appear to be telescopes. Researcher Javier Cabrera documented over 11,000 of them. Some stones carry contested pre-Columbian dating. If the engravings are authentic, they depict knowledge of dinosaur anatomy millennia before the first fossil was scientifically described. If they are fabricated, the coordinated production of 11,000 individually engraved stones, consistent in style, scattered across a desert, is itself an act requiring an explanation no one has supplied. 10 objects, 10 different places, 10 different eras. None of them fit. History has not provided a definitive answer. It has left us with the objects themselves, sitting in museums and desert fields, waiting for a question good enough to deserve them. Subscribe if this unsettled you, and watch the next video on screen.